Following video is not made for kids. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello to my subscribers, this is the TFangi coming to you with what will hopefully be a successful review, and today we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Studio Series Voyager class Scourge. So yeah, I am thrilled to finally have Scourge in my Transformers collection. I got him the same day I got Kingdom Cyclonus, and I'm filming this right after I filmed my Cyclonus review. So in case of you guys were wondering, yes, I am filming I filmed Cyclonus and Scourge's reviews one right after the other. And between the release of Scourge in the Studio Series 86 line and Cyclonus and also Galvatron in the Transformers Kingdom line as well, we finally got all of the Heralds of Unicron, as the Decepticons who were reformatted by Unicron have come to be known as. So yeah, Galvatron and Cyclonus are gem M's, despite his bad shoulders. His Kingdom Galvatron has become one of my favorite leader class figures of the Kingdom line. He's tied with Beast Wars Megatron and being my favorite. But bringing focus back here to Scourge. Scourge was released in Wave 1 of the Studio Series 86 line, and even though very few Decepticons have been released in the Studio Series 86 line, Scourge is arguably the best of them all that have been released so far. So here is Scourge inside his box. There's his robot mode. I apologize for my camera reflecting off the plastic window. There's Scourge's artwork in his robot mode, and unlike most Decepticon characters who have to have the word Decepticon printed in front of their names, since that's the only way Hasbro could get a registered trademark for it, Scourge does not have the word Decepticon in front of his name. So yes, Hasbro was able to get a registered trademark to Scourge, and only Scourge. So, in the month since Scourge was first released at the beginning of 2021, he has been repainted and slightly retooled into the sweeps, which act as the troop replacements for the Seekers in the Transformers Generation 1 movie. They were reformatted from the Insecticons, Shrapnel and Kickback, and also Bombshell. I said it. So yeah, I have no idea if I'm going to pick up any of the sweeps. Pretty much the only difference between in Studio Series Scourge and the generic sweeps is that the sweeps are a slightly brighter shade of blue. On the robot mode head sculpt, the sweeps have slightly smaller facial hair than Scourge does. And also, one thing about Studio Series 86 Scourge, I don't know how you're going to see it in the box. His, what side is it? Oh yeah. His left side hand has an open fist, while the right side hand has a closed fist. And on the sweeps, Hasbro and Takara Tomy decided to reverse that. So if you were to randomly see Scourge and a sweep standing next to each other, just look for the different hands, the different shades of blue, and the different length of facial hair, and that's how you'll be able to tell Scourge apart from his sweeps. So yeah, that's pretty impressive looking. Here's a close-up of Scourge's face. Over here on the other side of the box, you've got the same artwork showing most of Scourge's body. Here on the top, there's the logo for the Transformers Generation 1 movie. Scourge is a Decepticon, and I forgot where the number is. It's here on the box somewhere. I forgot where they put it. Oh yeah, it's right there. So Scourge is this is little number right here, tells you which numbered figure of this subline of the Studio Series line these Transformers figures come in. And so Scourge was only the 5th figure to be released in the Studio Series 86 line. Right? And I'm just really enjoying having Scourge in my collection. So here on the back of the box, you got Scourge in his robot mode and in his vehicle mode of a Cybertronian hovercraft. Apparently, Scourge's vehicle mode was designed to be a type of amphibious boat. Oh, well, sorry, let me rephrase that. Not amphibious. It was supposed to be a type of boat aircraft, but then it could also dive like a submarine. But in the Transformers Generation 1 movie, they decided to instead have it be a type of science fictional spaceship, since Scourge was shown flying around with Cyclonus and also Galvatron. And in the subsequent 3rd season, Scourge and the Sweeps were shown flying through the air as if their vehicle modes were jets as well. And it's never been truly defined what type of vehicle Scourge's alt mode falls into. I've always thought of it as a science fictional spaceship, because in outer space, because there's no air, oxygen, or wind, and the rules of aerodynamics don't really apply to the shape of a spacecraft. You can have a spacecraft have to be whatever shape you want it to be. So, yeah, this vehicle mode, once it's out in space, can be used as a spaceship. And the diorama in Scourge's box, which is the scene in the movie that Scourge is taken from, is the very moment after he's been upgraded from Thundercracker by Unicron And as you can see on the image of the diorama inside his box behind him, there's shrapnel and kickback about to be upgraded into the sweeps. So yeah, that's pretty incredible looking. Now, uh, it says for his description that Scourge is one of the heralds of Unicron. And if I didn't say it already, he transforms back and forth between both his robot mode and vehicle 119 steps. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of Transformers fans and collectors have been saying that Cyclonus was released in the Kingdom line while Scourge was released in the Studio Series 86 line because of Scourge's bio. His bio reads Unicron reform formats Thundercracker into Scourge. So yeah, Scourge is an upgraded version of the Decepticon character Thundercracker, and in the minds of most Transformers fans and collectors, if Cyclonus had been released in the Studio Series 86 line, judging by this one sentence bio that Scourge was given, Hasbro and Takara Tomy would have had to have finally chosen if it was Skywarp or Bombshell that became Cyclonus. It was Skywarp. So that's just a conspiracy theory that floated around when Cyclonus and Scourge were first released. I actually got Cyclonus and Scourge the very same day at my local Target store. So yeah, without further delay, now that we've doted on Scourge's box, let's get its Scourge out and take a close look at him in his robot mode. Alright, and so here he is out of his box and in his robot mode, everyone. Studio Series 86 Scourge. And just like Cyclonus, Scourge is pretty impressive looking. Noticeably, Scourge has the way he transforms. He ends up with a lot with parts of his vehicle mode becoming a backpack kibble rather than actually being a pair of wings that he had in the G1 cartoon series. So Scourge might not be as incredible as Cyclonus, but he is still right up there in being the best Scourge action figure we've gotten. When we got deluxe class-sized action figures of Cyclonus and Scourge in the past, I was hoping the day would eventually come when we would get Voyager class-sized figures of these guys, because I've always imagined the Decepticons being physically larger than the Autobots, so Hasbro and Takara Tomy, considering what they had to work with, I personally believe Scourge came out just as incredible looking as Cyclonus, and I believe Scourge is a must-have figure for your Transformers collection. So for articulation and robot mode, Scourge's head is on a ball joint, so it can look up and down, but only a couple of centimeters, and it's primarily due to Scourge's goatee touching his chest when you bend his head downward. He does have universal joints in his arms, but again, unlike Cyclonus, because Scourge has all of uh, this backpack kibble behind him, the only way to get full motion of his arms is if you rotate the back kibble backwards like this, but even then you have to move his arm out to the side very far to get it to rotate backwards, so it's a minor nitpick that I think can easily be overlooked. But so, he does have universal joints in the shoulders. He does have supposed to be a swivel joint in his bicep, but it's clicking on me, so it actually feels like it's a ratchet joint. Hinge joint in the elbows, wrist swivels, but they're very tight on my figure since he's fresh out of the box. Sorry about that, I had to pause the video for a second. He does have a waist swivel. He has universal jointed hips, so his legs can go out that far. They can go forward this far. They can go back quite a bit because there is enough space between the wings on his backpack, make that allow the leg to go backwards. He does have a vice swivel joint, but it's so much tighter than the waist swivel, I'm not going to show it off. He does have hinged knees. Again, since he's fresh out of the box, some of the knees on Scourge are still stiff from being in his package for so long. The toes can bend downward, but that's primarily a transformation joint. And he does have ankle rockers, so you can get him into a sprawl-legged pose if you desire. But yeah, just like Cyclonus, all things considered, I think this is a fantastic figure of Scourge to have in your Transformers collection. So for size comparison in robot mode, just like I did with Cyclonus, here is Scourge next to the robot that he used to be. Here is Earthrise Thundercracker. So yeah, there is unlike Cyclonus, in the Transformers Generation 1 movie, the moment that Scourge comes into existence, it is clear that Thundercracker is the Decepticon that gets upgraded into Scourge. So there hasn't been any controversy as to which Decepticon Scourge used to be. Everyone knows that it used to be Thundercracker. And yes, I am just amazed how these two look standing next to each other. And yes, just like Cyclonus, I am speechless at how incredible Scourge turned out. Infamously, the original Transformers Generation 1 version of Scourge was one of the first Transformers action figures that has come to be known by the term of a shell former. Essentially, Scourge's robot mode parts folded up inside his vehicle mode parts, and if you were to separate them somehow, you could have Scourge as a robot walking around, and you could have his vehicle mode moving around separately from him. And Hasbro and Takara kind of, sort of, mimicked Scourge being a shell former in the original Generation 1 line of action figures, with the way his wings are formed by the chunks of the outer part of his vehicle mode. But I can easily overlook that due to how incredible Scourge looks. And one last thing that one last accessory piece that Scourge comes with is a blast effect. So if you want to, you can attach it to the end of Scourge's rifle, and you can have the blast effect. You can either have it look like it's being blasted out of his laser gun, or if you wanted to, you could have it act as an extension to the laser gun, since it's almost the same shape, made of plastic. On my copy, it somehow got warped, so instead of sitting straight, it's actually bent at an angle. I might bend it back into shape if I can one of these days. But for now, let's get Scourge transformed into his vehicle mode. To do some size comparisons in his vehicle mode, wrap up the review, and I will share my final thoughts on Studio Series 86 Scourge. Alright, and here is Scourge transformed into his vehicle mode of a flying submarine ship. And yeah, as far as the three main Decepticons who are called the Heralds of Unicron, compared to Galvatron and Cyclonus, Scourge arguably has the most science fictional looking vehicle mode out of all three of the Decepticon leaders created in during the Transformers Generation 1 movie. But I do enjoy how screen accurate it is, and as I said a moment ago in the start of the video, just like his Generation 1 action figure, Studio Series Scourge is somewhat of a shell former. You can see it here on the other side of him. You open up these bottom panels, and yeah, there is pretty much all of Scourge's robot mode tucked inside the outer shell pieces of his vehicle mode. So yeah, that is a bit of a letdown for those who no longer want Scourge to be a shell former and actually want him to transform the way Cyclonus and Galvatron do. But for those wanting to look for nostalgia for the original Generation 1 version of Scourge, then Scourge being a shell former is as much Generation 1 as he can get, if that makes any sense. Now for his accessory pieces, you can put the blast effect here on the top of Scourge, and as for his laser gun, unfortunately there's only two spots where you can actually attach it, so you only have two options. You can either have the gun attached on that side facing forward, or if you want to, you can put it on the other side of Scourge and have it facing backwards. There is only one 5mm port on one side of Scourge's laser gun, not the other side, so those are the only options you really have. And unfortunately, when you attach Scourge's laser gun weapon to him, he loses his symmetry. So I think it would have been nice if Scourge had come with another laser gun just to have him look symmetrical, just like Cyclonus and Galvatron do. But that's just me being OCD about Transformers characters who have symmetrical looking vehicle modes losing symmetry when due to weapon storage or that lack thereof. So if you take the blast effect off, one nice thing about Scourge is that just like his animation model in the G1 cartoon, if you fold down this panel section in front, you can see Scourge's robot mode head sticking out of the top of his vehicle mode. And I apologize, when I was showing off Scourge transformed to his robot mode, I didn't realize that in packaging his head cannon was actually packaged facing the opposite way. So that's the position it's supposed to be when Scourge is in his robot mode, and the position I had it in when I was showing off his robot mode is actually how it is in his vehicle mode. You have to rotate it around so that it fits inside that circular space there. And Scourge's head ends up forming the main turret of the cockpit section of his vehicle mode. And because of how it looks almost like I just lost the name of it, but yeah, because it looks like a marine tower, a submarine turret. Or that's why a lot of people call Scourge's hovercraft vehicle a flying submarine. a Marine, and originally Scourge wasn't supposed to have his face shown because the Generation 1 action figure couldn't do that, but producers working on the Transformers Generation 1 movie decided to give Scourge and the Sweeps the ability of having their heads pop up in vehicle mode, so you can kind of mimic that if you fold this front panel section down, and when you look at Scourge from the front and it's folded down, his face can see what his robot mode face can see what is directly in front of him. So yeah, that is pretty incredible looking. All right, and so I had to get another figure transformed. So for a size comparison in vehicle mode, here is Scourge next to Thundercracker, and because Scourge folds up and on himself, unlike Cyclonus, he does become smaller than the Earthrise Seeker jets do. So Scourge is smaller than Thundercracker, but considering the fact that in robot mode they are the exact same height and they feel as though they have the exact same weight, it's just a matter of volume of space being occupied. So yeah, I just really enjoy now having Voyager class size figures of Scourge and Thundercracker standing beside each other. And for a quick size comparison with another action figure based off of Generation 1 Scourge, here is Studio Series 86 Scourge with the Transformers Generations 2011 Deluxe Class version of Scourge. So this was the first modern day G1 Scourge figure to be released in the Generations line way back in 2011. Just like the G1 figure, this version of Scourge, sorry, not like the G1 figure, but like his G1 appearance in the Transformers G1 cartoon, this version of Scourge can have his head pop up and look out over his vehicle mode more successfully so than Kingdom Scourge does. Now, the Generations 2011 version of Scourge, it's based off his appearance in IDW's comic books, and the publishers at IDW decided they didn't really like Scourge's submarine hovercraft mode, so they redesigned Scourge as a flying winged stealth bomber type vehicle. So that's why this version of Scourge looks so much more different compared to this version. This is Scourge's appearance in the G1 comic books, and unlike Studio Series 86 Scourge, where his lighter colors are a light shade of blue, this version of Scourge, it's actually solid white. Right? But yes, this was the first offering of a modern day Scourge Generation 1 Scourge figure, as my tongue fails me. Fails to keep up with my brain, that we got in 2011. So it really amazes me how much more or accurate to the source material of not only the Generation 1 action figures, but also the animation models of the original Transformers Generation 1 characters back in the 1980s are that the modern day the more recent modern day figures are doing better than the first group of modern day figures from the late 2000s and early 2010s. And so, one minor gripe that I have on my copy of Scourge is that one of his two wings sits lower than the other one does, and when you look at it from a side view, you can see how it's sagging down more, so that's a little bit of a pain to see that happen. And unfortunately, there isn't really any place for them to, there's no pegs or anything for these wings to clip into place, so they just sit there underneath, and yeah, that's, I think that's one thing that would have helped Scourges if there were little pegs there to keep these bottom wings folded in place properly. And look at that, it's staying in place now that I've called it out for sagging on camera. So, for my final thoughts, do I recommend getting Studio Series 86 Scourge and adding him to your Transformers collection? Absolutely, I do. As a standalone figure, he is arguably the quintessential action figure of Generation 1 Scourge that we have ever gotten by Hasbro and Takara Tomy. And he also goes well if you have in your Transformers collection Kingdom Cyclonus and also Kingdom Galvatron. So yeah, there's a group shot of all three of the Heralds of Unicron, Galvatron, Cyclonus, and Scourge. I'm really excited that we got modern day figures of all three of these Decepticons within the same year. So yes, thank you guys all so much for watching. This has been my review of Studio Series 86 Scourge. I highly recommend you get this figure. And next time you guys, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell icon for notifications. Stay safe, stay healthy. And until next time, you guys, transform and roll out. Goodbye, everyone.